one. Kiran, I'm so excited that you're joining us here today. You're like a super special guest for us. Surprise. And listen, today we're talking a lot about systems to begin with. We're talking a lot about like a listing system, or a listing presentation, buyer presentations. We're talking a lot about the stuff that real estate agents really should have in play. So you were a perfect addition. And when we were told about you, we were like, okay, she's got to be on, because this is exactly what we're talking about today, is how to make sure that we're creating a business that's all around, operational excellence, right? Because I fully believe I coach many teams across North America. And the one thing that I find that is missing is that they don't create systematic, duplicatable processes for everything they do. And therefore, they're always trying to recreate the wheel, or it's getting in their way, or they're not, able to do more business because they're not being as efficient as they can possibly be. So I'm stoked and super excited that you're here with us, because I think, you help bring everything else together in what you share and what you do. So thanks for joining us. So are you ready to get rolling?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to get going with this topic. It's such an important topic, and it sounds like we're very aligned with how we think and what's important for, a real estate business to really succeed. So I'm really excited to dive into it.
Cool. All right. Are you ready? I'll share your slide so you can see that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm just making sure I've got everything going here. Now, my slides are sharing okay. You can see operation systems nicely and beautifully up there. Perfect.
It is looking good.
All right, amazing. So once again, thank you so much for having me. What I want to speak today about is, just kind of continuing on from what you mentioned, is systems. Now, the thing with systems is it's such an all-encompassing word, isn't it? When we say systems, it means so many different things to different people. Everybody interprets it in their own way, and most people don't know what it really is or what it really needs to be. So I'm going to try my best to cover a lot of the things about defining what systems really are in a successful real estate business, what can and cannot be systemized, the mindset around systems, and how to, of course, use them successfully for efficiency and scaling, because that's ultimately what we're all hoping to do. And the difference between having systems and strategy and tools and technology, like how all of those things interconnect to really weave that beautiful web of processes in the back end of our business. So without any further ado, I am going to go ahead and share the slide. I just want to make sure I have this displayed properly so you guys can see. So my name is Kiran Gandhi, and I run a consulting company called Agent Consulting. And I've been in this business now for just, shy of a decade. I've seen it from many different facets. I've spoken at many events. I have run my own team for about 5 years, and we ran a top producing team in the Toronto region. And I've done training, I've done consulting, but I started at a front desk of an office. So I've really seen it from all different angles to have a different view on the business. So kind of just to see it from a distance and see what it looks like, rather than just diving straight into sales. So I think I've been really fortunate, which equips me well to speak about what I'm about to speak about today. So just like the agenda of today, what I want to speak about is very quickly why system, mindset of business, how to systemize your back end and front end, some of the assets that people should have, some business assets for communication, efficient communication with their clients, what automations and technology is required. I'm going to speak a little bit about something called a task audit at the end of my presentation as well, because that's going to help you delegate like a pro. So that's what we're touching on today. And so here's like a cute little definition that I found, and I really like this definition. It's, systems save yourself time, energy, money. So essentially what it is, if you look at it like as an abbreviation of what the definition would be, but in essence, a system is a set of interconnected processes designed to produce a consistent outcome. Now, I want to speak to that a little bit, because as a real estate agent, we wear many different hats. We are running around sometimes like a chicken with our heads cut off. We are allowing for our day to dictate the way that it's supposed to show up. Like we're allowing for our clients, for tasks in front of us, for everything that's going on to dictate and shape the way that our day ends up looking like. when really we need to get back into the driver's seat and figure out where we're losing time, where we're losing efficiency, where are we recreating the wheel over and over and over again. Because the truth is, if we don't put processes in place and if we don't systemize, then we are capped at how much we can, first of all, earn, because that's very important to remember. We don't have unlimited capacity to make money, and unless we have proper systems in place. With proper systems in place, my business partner and I, for example, you can do up to 100 deals even with just one assistant if you have processes in place, if you have automations in the right place, and if you have the structures that are necessary. So it's important that we take time, like we essentially take a step away from our business and start to notice and take a look at what is it we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Like, how are we spending our time? Where are we having the same conversations over and over again? Where are we sending the same communication over and over again? Where are we recreating the wheel, like I said? And the risks of actually also not having systems in place, and this is a really important one, is you're gonna add a lot of unnecessary stress to your life by not having systems in place. A lot of stress gets added to your life if you don't have processes in place. And we're doing this without even realizing that that's what's happening, And I think it's important for us to kind of remember that we have control. There are certain aspects of our business where we have control over. You don't have control over how a deal might shape out. You don't have control over something going wrong with a client, with financing, with a home inspection, with last minute issues that turn, and those add stress to our lives already. Where you don't need to have stress is how you operate your business. That's something that we have a lot of control over. So I feel like we add that stress to our lives, which could be avoided if we had proper processes in place. And having processes in place and using processes are two different things, right? We have to actually also implement the structures that we put into place. And nobody enjoys doing it. Like, let's be honest here. Creating systems is not exactly like a sexy task. It's not something people look forward to doing and say, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm going to build systems for my business now. It's usually something that people avoid doing because when they look at it or think about it, they don't know where to stop. They just look at the systems being this massive mountain in front of them and they're like, where do I start chipping away at it? Like, where do I even begin? And so most people don't even start. And in other cases, we're so busy running around on a day-to-day basis that we don't allow ourselves the time to even reflect and take a look at what it is that we're doing. How are we, being inefficient on a day-to-day basis? Where are we adding that unnecessary stress to our life on a daily basis? And one last thing I want to say about this is that I did not create business systems out of just desire to create business systems. This is pure, honestly me speaking, when I was selling and running a team, we created systems out of sheer necessity because it got to a point where we realized we are capped. We needed to buy back our own time and we needed to scale the business. And we needed to make sure nobody accidentally just ended up strangling somebody because of the amount of stress that we had. So, that's what led to us creating systems. And I think a lot of people, listening today, they'll probably be able to relate to at least some of the things that I'm saying because it's what we all go through. And a little bit of what I want to say our industry is guilty of is glorifying the hustle, glorifying the fact that, oh, we're hustling, we're so busy, we look like we're 80 years old at 30 years old, like those memes that are running around, like that stuff is glorified. It has become like, we think it's funny. And then subconsciously, I think we're programmed to believe that that's how it's supposed to be as a real estate agent.
Yeah, like 24/7. Like you hear it often in real estate. Hey, man, I'm 24/7. And that's an unhealthy way to work and live.
Exactly. There's no work-life balance. And as much as we like to think that it is a good way to be, like it's not. Your health is suffering. You're not you need to have a balanced life, because at the end of the day, for you to show up to your business 100% and really be present with your clients, you have to be well rested. You have to not be stressing out over things. And that's another thing you have to ask yourself, right? We're in the service industry. The only thing that we have to offer is the quality of services to our clients and the level of service that we provide and the excellence of that. How often do you really truly find yourself present with your clients when you're having those communications? Truly present. We're not, because our minds are wandering off in 10 different directions. So really, systems are supposed to help you with that. So I hope I'm making sense here. And I know this is something that I'm hoping a lot of people will be able to relate to and say, yes, yes, yes. Like, I identify with that. Because I'm going to tell you something, it is not, you have to get in the right mindset as to why you need to do something, especially something as like complex as systems, before you start on the journey to, building them out, because you're going to find yourself getting frustrated. It's a lot of work, but if you keep reminding yourself why you're doing it, you're going to find the motivation and drive to do it. It's very simple. So let's take a look at why, again, we need them. So anything that is a repeatable action in your business requires a repeatable business, something that is essentially plug and play. And like I said, it enhances the consistent level of customer service. So you can provide the same customer service over and over again. This is what helps you build a brand, right? Like, what do people expect when they list with you? What does the journey look like? And how do you make sure that the journey is always consistently the same? You cannot unless you have a process in place that outlines exactly what that journey is supposed to look like. Yeah. And once you start actually creating those processes, like, okay, what do I do from A to Z when I get a listing? Like, what am I doing? How often am I touching base with my clients? How often am I updating them? How am I consolidating my verbal conversations with written communication? Like, am I sending in an email? Am I sending them guides? Am I sending them videos? Like, you'll start to see loopholes in your process whereby you can actually enhance the level of customer service. You'll start to see gaps, being like, oh, I could actually send an email here to them. I could do this. I could do this. And all of a sudden, you're elevating that experience, your experience, the experience that they have with you. And of course, you're being efficient when you have processes in place. You're saving time, you're reducing error rate, and you're allowing yourself the ability to grow and scale. And the amount of times if I had $1 for every time an agent said to me, I don't want to be doing this, I want to work smarter, not harder. Well, you can once you implement processes. And it allows you to build a predictable system, a predictable level of predictability. See, hope is not a strategy. Hoping you'll get a certain number of referrals is not a strategy. Even referrals require a system behind them. If you want to have referrals and repeat business, you need to put a system behind that, because you can't just hope that your clients will remember you during a dinner conversation they're having with their neighbor. Like, it's not gonna, the likelihood of that is not very high. And the problem is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, a lot of agents who are good at real estate end up getting lucky because they're good with people, they're good at sales, and they're good at what they do. So they'll have a good run for like 5, 6, 7 years sometimes, I've seen. And then they'll be like, holy, I don't know where my next deal's going to come from. Like, I actually have no predictability in my business, right?
Yeah, they cap out and they go backwards, to be honest with you. Like, get to a point where they can't do anymore, and then they get frustrated, and then they start trying to implement stuff without doing exactly what you're talking about, and they go backwards, which is interesting, right? So
exactly, 100%. So I just want to share this slide because I think it's really powerful just to see the impact of time that you can save. So let's just say you become efficient. So you have templates, automations, processes, everything structured. You've delegated tasks that you don't need to be doing anymore. And all of a sudden, even if you started to save yourself 2 hours a day for 5 days a week at an 8-hour workday, just look at the bottom number and how much time you could be saving yourself. And now ask yourself, if you had 3 months of work hours based on 8 hours a day saved, what are you going to do with that time? Like, what could you do with that time? How could your life and business look like if you had that additional time? And I think this is really, really powerful because we all say and claim that time is more valuable than money. Once we start treating it that way, we start to really see how powerful it can be. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the 80-20 principle because this is, again, really important. A lot of agents will end up doing tasks that they shouldn't be doing on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of agents probably even who are listening right now, might be ready to start delegating a lot of the tasks that they're doing, but they're not. Like, I feel like agents are just one of those, like, we are very like, I can just stay up an extra 2 hours while I'm watching Netflix. I'll just do my paperwork. Or while I'm having dinner, I'll just do. No, you should not be doing those things, because, you need that downtime. And remember, your time, like if you start thinking like a CEO of your business, a CEO of a business is not doing a lot of the tasks that agents end up doing, and a lot of successful agents end up doing, right? So think about what those 20% high value tasks are that are actually getting you the results in your business. And what about all the other 80% that you should automate, systemize, or even delegate, right? And one of the tasks that I like to do, and I would suggest for everyone to do who's watching it here today, is do a task audit for 7 days in your business. So write down everything that you're doing in your business from start, and even something as simple as like 10 minutes spent on writing an email to a client, explaining something to them, so and so long spent, booking showing, so and so long spent. And you'll start to see, once you actually keep a track, it's like a food diary, but like you start keeping a track of everything that you're doing on a daily basis. You do it for 7 days, and then you reflect, because we're just on autopilot. We're not noticing and paying attention to the things we're doing, that you'll start to see, be like, oh my God, like highlight things that don't require you, the CEO of your business, and highlight things that you're doing over and over and over again. And that's a really, really good place to stop, to build systems. If that's something you want to do, is like, that's where you should begin. That's what you should do. It's like, just take a reflection. Reflect on what it is you're doing for 7 days, and do it really diligently. Like write down everything that you're doing, and you'll start to notice gaps in your business. Like, one of the ways that we recommend the delegation piece is, a lot of agents, and I mean, we could speak to that in a whole other session, but a lot of agents think that the best way to grow their business and to become more efficient is just to partner up with another agent. You might just need a VA for the delegation piece. Like if you're on a budget and if you want to just kind of start delegating, a VA is a really good way to start, for example, like a virtual assistant. I have two. Like it's a good way to start. So just start thinking about like where you can delegate, where you can systemize, and where you can automate, okay? Now, there are things that cannot be systemized. And this is very important, because when I say systems, a lot of people in their mind just think that a robot's going to take over their business. And oh my God, the personal aspect of my business is going to go, away, and it's going to get eliminated, and, or you're not plugging in technology to take over what you're doing. You're plugging in technology and processes and a strategy that's going to actually enhance the level of customer service that you're providing, because it's going to free up your time. You're going to have more free time. We're not taking away the human element or the human connection or the human conversation. It's just going to give you more time and the mindset and clarity to be able to connect on a better level. So we're not systemizing those things. And your high performance habits, this is another thing, like your habits, your mindset, that has to come from within. We cannot systemize any of that, nor do we want to, because we do not want to, we don't want to have a robotic process in place. But one thing I will say, and this is, because I get this question because I talk about systems a lot in my business, when people have that hesitance of, well, but if I automate everything, then it's going to basically just, it's going to take away that connection, right? It's not going to. So I don't want you to worry about that at all. Just remember that your clients are going to feel safe within a structure. When you provide people with a structured, experience, like a 5-star customer service experience, they're going to feel really safe within that. That's what I found. I found people love that. Anybody who's really looking to go for the real estate journey, it's like children, when you lay out a structure and a routine, they love it, and clients do too, right? So it's really important to remember that. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do, and I'm just going to like make sure you guys can see the full screen, is plan your day. So this is the first system. So once you've done the task audit, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you start by planning your day the night before. This is another really good way to kind of start getting yourself systemized, is plan your day the night before. Give yourself a heads up. And then for those of you who like routine, have a morning ritual, like have a discipline for yourself, because your systems for your business start with you. How you do anything is how you do everything. So you got to start with yourself. So once you have a system for yourself where you're like, okay, I'm going to actually start time blocking, I'm going to use my calendar. Something as simple as a calendar is a system, guys. Like just putting into your calendar everything, including your personal appointments, including time block for, any research you need to do. Once you structure your days and plan your days, you'll already start feeling a lot more structured towards, your business and in your life. So using the calendar is a really big tip that I give to people. So ditch the to-do list. It ain't gonna do much for you, because it's either gonna end up at the back of your car, or you're never gonna look at it, or you're gonna create a new one every single day. Start popping everything you need to do into your calendar. Make your calendar your first step towards your system. So do the task audit, step number 1. Step number 2, start to plan your day properly and allocate yourself certain time periods for how long it's going to take you to do something. Because the thing is, in our business where we're losing a lot of time is when we spend more time doing tasks than they really require. And we'll kid ourselves into thinking that we're actually doing work and being productive. And that's where the Parkinson's law really fits in. Like, the work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. So just remember that. This is really important in, systemizing and wanting to save time for yourself. Now, one thing before I dive into kind of my big mind map is, you don't need to be perfect. So once you start creating your processes, it starts by putting pen to paper and just walking yourself through the experience that you're currently delivering for everything that you're doing. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But I want to make sure that everybody listening remembers, you don't need to be perfect. Perfectionism, trying to make things perfect is just another way of procrastinating it. Just don't do that. And
I always say done is better than perfect.
Exactly. Always, always, always. And perfection is, like I said, I read this is like perfection is procrastination in a cute outfit. So just don't do it. And your systems are going to be ever evolving, right? You'll start with something basic. And then, like I said at the beginning, you'll go back and be like, wow, like I could enhance here, and I could enhance here, and I could do this here, and I could do this here. So you're going to have that opportunity, and focus on the essentials first, which is your calendar, your planning of your day, your task audit, and then your essentials, which is your operations, of course, right? And I like to do things visually. So when I do systems, when I first started doing it, I just like to mind map like this. Essentially, this is another way of starting. So this is just to give everybody watching an idea of what can and cannot be systemized, right? So we talk about operations, marketing, conversion, and accounting. So those are like the big 4 areas of your business that can be systemized. And within operations, we have your transactions, of course, your buyer checklists, listings, leases, if you do pre-constructions, whatever you do. For your administrative stuff, your suppliers, your vendors, your inventory, any digital assets that you have, and of course your hiring and hiring protocols, trainings. One of the ways that you can really do this efficiently for anybody who's listening and wants to train a VA or an assistant or marketing assistant, a really good way to do this is just to start recording yourself while doing the tasks with a simple screen recording app. And that becomes your training manual down the line. So then it doesn't matter who comes and goes. You have your process, record yourself doing an offer, record yourself doing a CMA, record yourself doing these things on the screen. So your voice is being recorded and your screen is being recorded. And those are going to become your training library. So you don't have to spend hours sitting next to somebody and training someone, right? It's a really great way to start your operations, get your operations up and running. Within your marketing, you can systemize your lead generation. Your marketing, my business partner likes to call it random acts of marketing. Don't do random acts of marketing. Have consistency in whatever method of advertising you're doing, whether it's paid or traditional, it doesn't matter. It has to be done on a consistent basis for it to produce results. Don't just dump in all your resources when you are thin on leads in business. Like, you want to do it on a consistent basis. You can do marketing for brand awareness too, plaster your face all over any, billboard you like. That's more for brand awareness. For conversion, and this is again really important, like if you don't have proper lead nurture follow-up sequences, email communication, touch points in place for lead nurturing, retention, referrals, then your business is gonna suffer. So rethink it through. When a lead comes in, what do they get? The first 72 hours are the most crucial when you get a new lead. How are you communicating with them? What's your process? What do you walk them through? What emails do they get? How many times do you call them? Keep it consistent. And of course, your accounting. So I could talk about this slide for a very long time, but I wanted to show you guys, like, at a glance, once you visually kind of represented what can and cannot be systemized, of course, right? So, and this is another thing. You want to have these business assets. I think you mentioned at the beginning that you guys are also going to be speaking about these things, but like at a glance, and I'm sure people can watch this, pause this and take a look at this slide if they wanted to, but these are just some assets that they can create to make their systems and life a lot easier. Have your guides, relocation guides, market updates, like create templates for this stuff, because then it's a plug and play situation. It's very easy. Like, you speak to a new lead, let me send you this, let me send you a guide, let me send you a market update. It just becomes a lot easier when you have these things stored and ready to go, again, saving time and becoming more efficient.
Absolutely.
Now, the last thing I want to speak about today is technology, because technology is the first thing people think about when they think about systems. They think technology is going to come in and magically just systemize their business. You have to systemize your business and use technology to implement the systems. A CRM, a project management tool, is going to do nothing for you if you don't tell it what you want it to do. So you have to first figure out what you want it to do, and based on what I showed you guys earlier, and that's going to be the key driver as to how well the tools are going to work for you. And I love this quote: the first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. The second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. So, you have to really make sure that the processes that you're putting together make sense before you implement them into any piece of technology. So, some that I recommend very quickly are going to be, in terms of technology, if you're just starting out, is going to be your Google Suite. I think everybody should be using the Google Suite. Everyone should be. And this is, your personal calendar, Google Drive, Gmail. They really beautifully speak to each other, and they're super efficient. It's just where everyone needs it for time management, email management, scheduling, and document management. So Google Suite is a must for everyone. Now, for project management, and this is for your day-to-day tasks and processes, these are two. There are many, many more out there, but the ones we recommend are Trello for beginners, and Asana is a bit of a level up from there. There's Monday.com, there's Basecamp, there's a bunch of different ones, but this is not a CRM. This is more for you to just document your processes. And if you have a team, just to make sure that, you're giving your teams tasks. And Slack is a communication channel that is, if you've heard of Slack beautifully ties in with both of these, so that you can have different chats for like different listings, different processes, and things like that. So it's really beautiful if you want to streamline your processes. And of course, the CRMs, guys, there's many CRMs out there. I recommend Follow Up Boss. There's a lot of different ones out there, but this is one. Use the one that you will use. If that makes sense, that you will actually use. Like,
hey, it's one of the biggest questions, right? Oh, what CRM should we use? Well, you just use the one, either use the one you got or use the one that you find the most efficient and easiest to use. There's no one that's, this is the problem. You can have the best CRM and never use it, and it's no different than having the worst CRM. So there you go. You're not going to use it.
They don't even ask themselves. Like, you have to really ask yourself, what do you want a CRM to do? So CRM isn't going to magically wave a wand and make your business like come into, just get structured. You have to figure out what you want it to do. So recording data about leads, storing your contacts, database management, essentially, communication, setting reminders and targets is what a CRM is good for. So just get one that will do those things and integrate well with, if you're running Facebook ads and stuff like that, you want to have those seamless integrations, of course, right? And these are some other ones that I recommend. Canva is fantastic if you haven't heard of it, for all your design templates and creating templated items like your social media images, things like that, your presentations, your flyers, everything. ManyChat is fantastic if you're running marketing funnels through Facebook and Facebook Messenger. It's a fantastic tool. Zoom, of course, we need, because now we're all digital and you should be running multiple events like this with your clients, informational sessions, and Zoom's fantastic for it. And the last one is Shift, which is like a nice way for you to clean up and organize your desktop. I know I had to whiz through it a little bit fast, so I apologize if I was speaking like someone had a gun to my head. But there's a whole slide here which I'm happy to share with you guys, which you can which can be forwarded to people if you guys like, and you can just look into these automations and system components, and they're all tools. But I want to stress so heavily that do not jump straight to the technology. Figure out what your processes are going to be first. Do that mind map that I showed you guys, and then implement the technology that makes sense for you, as opposed to the other way around.
Awesome.
All
right. Look at that. All right. I'm going to listen. I said, listen, we should do it around 30 minutes. You're pretty dead on. I know you went through a lot of stuff. You probably do that presentation in like an hour and a half normally, and you whiz through it. So listen, if someone wants more information about that, because obviously, again, this is one of the most important components of someone's business as they grow that they miss.
Yeah. Right.
So if someone wanted to kind of get in touch with you or get more information on kind of what you shared, how would they do that?
So just go to my website, agentconsulting.ca. I had it on my slide, but I can also pop it in the chat, or maybe you guys can share it. It's just agentconsulting.ca, and there's a link on there just to book a discovery call with me. I like to speak to people before I kind of put them into a program, or before I start speaking to them about what's right for them, and just to see if there's a fit for us to work together. So I usually offer like a 20-minute free discovery call, and just go ahead and book it through my website, and I'll be more than happy to just have a chat and a conversation.
Awesome, Carol. I super appreciate you being here. It's a perfect fit into kind of what we're talking about today, and it's exactly again it's taking that all taking everything that we're talking about today and kind of putting it into if you take everything we've talked about today and then you put it into one system that's duplicatable, then it makes everything easier and more efficient. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure chatting with you, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Take care. Okay.
Take care.